Alright, in this video we are going to unwrap materials and do a recap on what was in the last video. So an unwrap means adjusting the image that is placed on an object as a material. So if it's distorted, if it looks funky, we're just going to change it. So in this case I'm creating a plane to add a material to. I'm going to press M to open up the material editor, and these are my materials from the last video, but I'm going to create a new one just to recap. So right click on the scene, materials, general, physical material. Drag this material up so it's nice and neat and in a row. I'm going to double click it, right click, show shaded material in viewport, and now I'm going to adjust add the bitmap. So I double click that little button right there, double click bitmap, and now I'm going to create a new material. So let's do the eye again. And now I've got the eye material. I'm going to name it eye. Since I already have an eye material here, I'm just going to name this eye 2. Now there would be no sense in creating a material with the same image that you already have. I would just use this anytime I needed to use this, but for this example I just wanted to create the material again. I'm going to drag it out here, and now you see it is squashed and stretched and it looks bad and it needs some fixing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this into an editable poly. Now I'm going to go up to the modifier list. And the modifier list we're going to get into later, but today we're just going to use one modifier, which is called unwrap. You can scroll all the way down to unwrap. These modifiers are arranged alphabetically, or just simply press U on the keyboard and go to unwrap. And now you have some options here. You see a green highlight around what you have added the unwrap to. If you want to unwrap an entire object, there's no need to specifically select polygons, but I'll get into that and show you what I mean in a moment. So what I need to do is adjust this image. Now, we will get more into what all this stuff is later, but for now we're just going to simply introduce you to the unwrap UVW by clicking Open UV Editor. And what you have right here is a representation of your material. This grid, this gray and dark gray grid, is where your picture or your material is. So what I'm going to do is click up here on texture, and I'm going to go to map number 3. I'm going to add the image, and now what I'm going to do is just to show you that I can adjust it. So I'm going to select it and show you that you can toggle on and off the selected polygons by pressing F2. That turns off the red. Turn it on, turn it off, and now you can move around the polygons just like you would a material object in the regular scene. So here are your transformation options up here. You have move, rotate, free transform, and scale. Free transform is the tool that you always want to use right here. It allows you to scale, to move, and to rotate all in one tool. It's the best tool. It's the one I use all the time. And now you see me rotating around. And now I'm going to make some more changes here. So what I'm going to do is rotate this around. And now that's how a material rotates. Let's scale it and see what happens when I scale it. You see that I can get a tile if I want. And back down. Alright, what else is there? You can flip it horizontally as well. So let's scale this down so you can see it a little bit better. And right now it's stretched out on the scene and you can't even tell what it is. So what I'm going to do is select an edge. So down here you have vertice, you have edge, and you have polygon, just like you would in the sub-object level of an editable poly. Down here it allows you to select that of the material. So if I select polygon, I select the whole polygon that is selected down here. If I select an edge, I can click on an individual edge and I can move it. So what I'm going to do in this instance is simply move an edge closer here to the image. So if you hold shift, it will lock in on an axis and it's easier to control that way. So now let's see what happens when I adjust this. You can see the material getting a little bit easier to control. Now I'm going to drag this down and see what the image looks like. And now I'm going to select the polygon and scale it up. It still looks pretty bad, so I'm going to change here. With the transformation tool, I'm just going to drag in a side. Now I'm going to move it in, and I'll scale it. So now you can actually see what it is, and let's rotate it 90 degrees so it's easier to see what's going on down here. Okay. So that is how you add a material, adjust a material. Now notice when I click off of this unwrap UVW, this editable poly to editable poly, it's going to ask me a modifier exists in the stack. You can read that. Do you want to hold this? Hold yes, yes, no. I'm just going to exit out of that. Whenever I have a material the way that I want it and I'm satisfied with it, I'm just going to right click on it, go to convert to, and convert to editable poly. So now that material is locked in, it's ready to go, and it is just a part of the object. So now what I'm going to do is add multiple materials to an object and adjust those materials. So create a box, and I'm going to press F4 to turn on the segment so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to add multiple polygons here. Alright, now I'm going to press M to go into the material editor, and let's convert this into an editable poly. Whoops. Convert to editable poly, and I'm going to select the polygons that I want to add this material to. And you can press F2 to toggle on the red highlight of the selection. I'm going to put these materials over here, and I'm going to select these polygons and add this material. Whoops, Control Z to here. Now I'm going to select these polygons, and I'm going to add a new material. Let's create right-click material, general physical material, drag this over here, minimize it, double-click to highlight it, right-click, show shaded material in viewport. Now I'm going to click on this little button next to base color, double-click the bitmap, and I'm going to select a material that I haven't used yet, which would be this picture right here. Let's say Wolf Howl. I'm going to name it, make sure you name it, and I'm going to drag this out to here. And now you will see, hopefully there's an instance where I could benefit from unwrapping a UVW, which would be right here. If I can select this image and rotate it 90 degrees, it will fit better in this selection. So what I want to do, if you press F2, toggle on and off red, I'm going to select the polygons that I want to unwrap, which would be these two. There's no reason to select anything else. And I'm going to go to the modifier list. So how I selected the polygons, I made sure that I was in polygon mode, which is number 4 on the keyboard. Or you can expand the editable poly options and click polygon. I've selected the polygons while holding control, and I'm going to click on the modifier list, type U, unwrap UVW selected, press enter, and now what I'm going to do is rotate these two images so they fit this image so it fits better. So I'm going to open the UV editor, I'm going to activate the picture, which is, let's see if that's the right one, nope. Let's see if that's the right one. Nope. Let's see if that's the right one. Yep. Alright, so it looks like I just need to scale it a little bit and rotate it. So first I'm going to use the free transform tool. I'm going to go to the edge and rotate it. So now I'm going to drag the corners to where they should fit, and this material should look nice and neat in there. And let's say I want it to go the other way. I want the moon up here and the wolf down here. I can right click on this polygon selection and choose flip horizontal and flip vertical. Now it's down here. Or you can right click and choose move horizontal and the moon's on the other side. That's pretty much it. I'm going to undo everything I just did so I can show you the magic button. Generally, problems can be fixed by clicking this button right here. It's called Flatten by Material ID. So if I have a weird shape like this with my polygons, once I unwrap it, I can click this button and you'll see what happens. Now, it takes the basic shape that is on the object, right here, and it makes those polygons fit on the image. So now, generally that'll work. Sometimes you have to do minor adjustments to the material. In this case, I'll have to go back and readjust what I did. Rotate 90 degrees here and then fix like I did earlier. Drag the corners to the corners of the material, and then bam, down here F2, toggle on and toggle off. I'm going to right click, convert this back to an editable poly, and it's ready to go. Press M to get out of the material editor and you're on your way.